All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first day of our webinar. I can see a lot of people have joined already, and if you can hear me, I want you to drop reactions in the comment section, likes if you can hear me. So drop some reactions in the comment section if you can hear me. All right. So I welcome every one of us once again. And this is the first day of our 1-week webinar series. And the webinar series is on building secure, scalable AI solutions with Amazon Bedrock and AgentCore, right? So this whole webinar series is about learning or leaning into AI way, secure, responsible, and powered by AWS. As an advanced AWS partner, authorized integrated, we've seen recurring problems, right? Teams want to adopt Gen AI, but they are stuck between the hype, security concerns, and unclear architecture. And some of them don't have a clear path on production. So this webinar series was designed to close that gap or those gaps. Over the course of this 1-week webinar, we'll walk through how teams can move from AI curiosity to secure, production-ready solutions using Amazon Bedrock and AgentCore. So if AI adoption is one of your goals, is part of your roadmap as an organization, as an individual, and as a community, this webinar series is for you. And for today, we're going to be starting today with the topic from AI models to intelligent agents, exploring AWS AgentCore AI. So that's the topic of today. And our speaker for today is the person of Mr. Abdulaziz Tijani. Mr. Abdulaziz Tijani is our speaker for today. Mr. Aziz Tijani is a data and automation product lead with almost a decade of experience driving business transformation through data-driven insights and automation. He has a proven track record of leading teams to deliver scalable solutions with expertise in crafting tailored solutions that drive efficiency, reduce cost, and boost growth. He's skilled in data science, machine learning, RPA, and cloud tech with AWS and Azure that help companies harness data power and automate for success. So I'll let Mr. Aziz take the stage now as he guides us through the topic of today. So I'll be bringing him to the stage right now. Please, let's see some reactions in the comments. Let's see some comments there. Just introduce yourself in the comment. Tell us where you are joining from and how interested you are to be in this webinar today. All right, so let's see some reactions from the comment section. Let's get some reactions from the comment section. Let's get some comments. Let's have some comments. So just drop your name and where you're joining us from. Just maybe your city. My name is Dumohara Prince. I'm an IT expert. I'm a cloud solution engineer. It's authorized integrated, and I'm joining from Lagos. So let us have those in the comments section. While Mr. Abdulaziz, okay, so Sharif, thank you for joining us, Sharif. Sharif is happy to be here. Let's get some more reactions. Let's get some more emojis, some more likes. Just tell us your name, where you're joining from. Sherif, it's nice to have you join us today. We're glad you're here. And this webinar promises to be a very enlightening one that will leave you more enlightened and excited and also ready for the real world. All right, so without further ado, let us give the stage to Mr. Abdulaziz Tejani. Mr. Abdulaziz,
Can you hear me?
you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can. Thank
All
you,
right,
Mr. Prince,
Bob. So the stage is over to you now.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you everyone for joining. Um, Before we dive into what we are here to do today, let me just tell us a little bit about myself as well. And as he has rightly introduced, I don't need to take more time on it, but I also started the journey about AI, data, and the space of everything that has to do with data. I think almost a decade ago, and I'm proud to say that my journey started from data science in Nigeria. I was among the first cohorts that attended the boot camp or participated in the boot camp organized by Data Science Nigeria. I think around 2017, if I'm not mistaken, and that when I developed a desire to pursue a career under what we talk about, anything that has to do with data and transitioning into AI automation, transitioning to automations and AI. And I think before I even go further, I think what really matters then was curiosity, was what made me to think about when you're talking about data, then we are having to run machine learning predictions. But I have that curiosity that what are the insights? And let me put it that way. So my focus then was rather than using machine learning models, what are the insights? What are the business values that you can get from all these machine learning, all these data spaces? And that's why I focus my own niche around the business process automation and focuses around business insight values from data. So whether you are using a, a native machine learning model like maybe random forest, or you are using the advanced ones, the gradient descents of the ones, what really matters to me most are what are the business insights that you can gain or drive value or that can drive value for the business. And as anyone from business side, what really matters is no one cares about whatever you use, whatever tool you use, but the value you can bring it to the business. And that is the major focus of where I want to look into this one, into this discussion today. So it's a webinar, but it's a more around discussion and a more around enlightening ourselves about the possibilities that we already have. Those days we see these things as myths before, things that we never thought could ever happen. But right now we are living in the era whereby we have multi-agent systems. We have, I'll call it machines talking to another machines to derive, making decision for itself and able to bring value by itself without any human interactions. And that is what I would say the business value that we can see. And when you see machines talking to machines without any human interaction, I know the one thing that will be at the back of our mind right now is how do I belong here? What is my own participation? What is my own as a human? What is my value here? Would this not be a risk for me in terms of losing my job? Because when machines are the one making decisions that we usually have a human to do before doing the orchestration. So how do I come in as a human in this process? And that is what we are trying to focus right now. To be honest with ourselves, we know there have been a lot of, if you are conversing with happenings around global state research, you see a lot of layoffs by, you want to talk about Meta, you want to talk about Google, just name it, any company right now, they are doing a massive layoff. And what brought about that is the evolution of AI agents. When AI agents are coming to replace humans process, I was reading about Elon Musk's tweets, I think about a couple of months ago, and he mentioned around in years to come, humans will be paid for doing nothing. And what does it mean by human will be paid for doing nothing? You will just be paid because you are existing, not that you need to do any work. And that's the area we are transitioning to, whereby we are bringing reliance on machines, on agents, on intelligent agents, whereby the things you have to require human to do, we are using agents to do and doing it effectively. So, but without further more ado, let me delve into the slide and put up my slides for presentation. Just a moment. Just a moment. Okay. Good. Please confirm where you can see my screen. Where's my screen? Do I have to present?
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it up.
Okay. I could still see a bit of a delay. Or is it fine now?
How can you see it from your end?
So I'm seeing myself, the poster, and what I displayed, or what I shared at the background.
All right, okay, let me fix that.
It's still showing there. Let me stop sharing. Or is it for me alone? So can you hear me? No.
Yeah, I can hear you. So present again. Let me put your presentation up.
Okay. It's at the back.
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
This is what I gave you. I choose stress. I'm not as usual. So I choose in fact I'm not stressed. Me, I choose now I'm choosing stress. Don't worry. I'm not like who is mommy? That's mommy. Any mommy? I've never said that.
Don't say anything again. Anything you say.
Any mommy? Never. So do I say that?
Don't say anything.
Honest word. What is just honest word? Time is going.
I don't beg you, simply don't talk anything.
I'm not saying me, mommy, time is going.
Or you be able to stop sharing from your end, probably. Or should I give you the slide? I can show you the slide.
I'm stressed. 25. If you are started from this office, from number one, you have got to the side. Don't have to be a testimony.
As in?
Go to that. They get to. Tell them what to decide. So they tell them what to decide. I'm waiting for them to hear you. I don't trust you. No, ask me what to do inside this place.
When they have it again.
Okay, let me get one.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. Or if I share with the file, it will work. Okay. Can you ask if others are not seeing it laid on top? I think from my end, I have another screen that I can use to continue the discussion.
Okay. Go on. Why will fix that?
Apologies for those. I'll call it a bit of a break in transmission. Let's continue with based on the agenda that we have. This is just basically the agenda that we have to discuss today. But I'll just move on swiftly. So yes. Now, before we dive in, we need to understand what are AI agents and what are their importance for the business. You will see when I was coming from the business perspective. I'm coming from what is the value that this gives to the business. And that's aside being a developer, you must always look at the business sides of every processes that you are doing, every code that you are writing. What are the business importance of this? Now, AI agents is simply what I can call it a kind of errand boys.
Yeah.
So what do I mean by errand boys? Errand boys are that people are like slave that you can always ask him or her to go and do something for you. They are just simply like that. But the only difference within them is that they can always run a specific task at a single time. So if you look at AI agents in terms of what we have today, there are a lot of other perspectives that we can look at them. Firstly, if you look at them from the autonomous perception, where you see them reading data or reading data through sensors or data input to understand surroundings accurately. Now, let's look into the Tesla FSD that they have. It's a software that they embedded in every Tesla tools. Let me give it as an example. Now, for each of these self-driving cars to work, they are working with multiple sensors. So it has a sensor that detects the road, the traffic light, that detects the paths. It has sensors that detects even when someone is operating the steering of the wheel. It has sensors that, so it has multiple sensors around it, and each of the sensors are doing one particular function. If you see this, alert this. If you say that, alert that. So those are multiple data points that are flowing into it. So for a full self-driving car to operate, the first thing it does is in the path that it's looking at. So it has a kind of a camera sensors that looks into the front, the side, and the back. So it looks at it from the front. So if the gear is in the drive, then it start looking at the front. Do I have any obstacle? If there's no obstacle, what is the distance between it and the next obstacle that I see? So, for example, if you see tree, and that's how you're able to see auto braking systems. So, these are multiple sensors. So, now each of these sensors that we have a control unit that is like their master that governs all the activities of others. But each of the sensors that you have, for example, the camera sensors that is looking at the front and look for obstacle, the only thing it needs to report back to its master is, I found an obstacle, alt. I found an obstacle, reduce the speed of the car. And that's how each of those agents operate and works together. Now, another thing about AI agents is they have the capability to reason. So they have the capability to make decisions themselves, as I've said earlier. Because, this is what we call myths earlier, when we say, would there be a possibility for us to have a humanoid system that work on its own without any human interactions? But what's given back to it is multiple AI agents. Each of the AI agents knows his own specific tasks. It knows what it needs to do at every particular point of time. So because of it knowing its capability and its responsibility at every destination, it's able to make the right decision. Also, one thing that we had seen as an improvement from the machine learning that we've been coming before, where we have the supervised learning, we've come into the era of unsupervised learning, where we call something what we call a reinforcement learning. So what do we mean by reinforcement learning? Whereby it's able to learn from its mistakes. It's able to learn from its, whether it's mistakes, whether it's capability, whether it's improvement. It's able to collect data itself to say, okay, did I impress you? Okay, where did I make things wrong? Then it's able to correct it and improve over time. And that's what we see the embedment of reinforcement learning of all these AI agents. One thing as well that we've seen is ability to have a kind of a supervisor. So we still have, okay, let me say as we have for now, we still have humans, and which is where we say some of us play this role or play this part, where we are like the controller that is able to see beyond where the AI agent is not able to reason to. So it also has capability to interact with humans and see and ensure that humans are the one driving or guiding it in terms of the right decision. So even for a full self-driving car that exists on Tesla, it still has the capability for you to switch it up. It still has the capability. I was really talking about that yesterday as well, that you must still sit down physically with it for it to have a steering. Not all of them, though, but these are recommended. So that if it wants to go haywire, you're able to control it and say, no, you are entering the bush. So that is the capabilities that AI agent has brought in place. Now, a lot of people ask a lot of questions. What are models? AI models, the machine learning models that we've known before. What are bots and what are AI agents? There are really very little difference. I'll call it very little because I see them as stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Before we started with AI models, whereby you have your data, you train your data, and based on what the model has learned from your data, is able to make predictions or classification for you. And those are AI models. Now, we move past that era, move to the process of bots, whereby you have set of rules to say if someone greetings are hi, hello, good morning, good evening. If someone replies, sends you a message like that, reply with hello, good afternoon, how are you? So those are base rules, those are scripted rules that it follows. So it's a rule-based flow. And bot has what certain workflows for it to work. So there is kind of adaptability for there. Sorry, I said adaptability. There's a kind of a prefined governance to its responses. So because based on what I could able to reason to say, if user um asks for asks for how are you, then your response should be XYZ. I'm fine. How about yours? So it's a prefined rules and based on the workflow. Now you can go to it and say, could you please place an order for a car on Tesla? You can't just say that to it. For bots, you will not be able to understand. He will just tell you, I don't understand. And if you've used um, some of some customer service website that we've seen or customer chats, when you have some questions, it just tells you, I don't know. And because those are bots. But if it is AI agents, and this is why I said AI agent is like is a little step further. AI agent is able to not say no to you. If it doesn't understand what you're asking it asks you to redefine or refine your prompt to say, or do you mean this? Or do you mean that? That is what we call adaptability. It's able to ask you questions. It's okay, maybe you mean this, or is this what you meant? So if you run the prompt on Copilot right now, sorry, on Copilot or ChatGPT, any one of them, if you ask a question that it doesn't understand, you ask you, or do you mean this? If it is this, then I'll go for that. If it is not, so those are the adaptability and dynamic, and it's very very dynamic because it can operate autonomously, and that is the benefit that we are seeing from the ChatGPTs, from the OpenAIs, all those the I'll call them the chatbot that we have now, or the AI agent that we have right now that's able to deliver this kind of a value. Now, okay, now as I said earlier, the purpose is for business. With the advancement that we have from chatbot to AI agents, what is the benefit for your business or for any enterprise? The benefit that we have for enterprise are so numerous, and one of it, or let me talk about two of them that is not even on this slide. One of it is what we call supplier onboarding. Now, when you talk about supplier onboarding, it's a really, really very strenuous task for anyone in the business. Because the first thing that you need to do before you even onboard a supplier is that you need to do a kind of risk assessment. You want to work with a partner or a vendor, you must know if you are into FMCG or the likes, are they ESG compliant? So the first thing is for you to first go and check their risk and compliance, because you don't want to transact with a vendor or a supplier that might later determine or got to know that they are into fraud or they are scam, or they scam the company. So you do your risk assessment on them, you do your ESG assessment on them, you do your safety assessment on them, you do your fraud assessment on them. So these are multi-level of activities that you need to do. Now, depending on the system that you operate, whether it's CRM, whether it's SAP or some other tools that you use to onboard the supplier before you even eventually onboard it. After you even onboard it, what will be some agreement, which is like contract? How will the contract be managed? Will it be renewed every month or every year? What will be their payment term? How will they be paid? Will they be paid every other day, or pay once in a month, once in every 6 months, or once in every 3 months? So those are the things that you need to have as a kind of an agreement and alignment with the supplier to confirm their genuinity, to confirm that they are not risk or high risk vendors, or to ensure that you're operating with vendors that are with rights, or I'll call it right operating licenses. So those are the things that Now, if you now want to onboard, you could see the list of processes that I have done for you to ensure that your organization you are able to have a tool that manages all these edge cases for just a single supply. It's really going to be a strenuous one. But imagine you have an AI agent that a AI agent, his only job is to do the risk compliance for you. The other agent is to do what? Payment term confirmation. The other one is to check ESG ratings and score. Does it meet your set standards? The other one is to check for fraud, whether the bank account details are provided does really exist. So these are multiple agents you could set up for just supply onboarding, for a supplier that you're trying to onboard. Now, once each of the agents they're able to come back with the feedback to say, when I look at the ESG rating, the ESG rating I found online for this vendor from what he declared for us is lower. So lower than the expectation. However, when they reported to you, they told you our ESG rating is 99%, our water usage is 100%, water recycle is 100%, our our um our power generation is through solar and green energies. But when you have AI agents that is able to go into the web itself, search for this particular supplier, search for every detail it could find online about the suppliers, and is able to come back with feedback. You have a robust information. So you have a kind of another master agent that now reviews all the information provided to say, oh, but you told us that you have your 100% recyclable energy for your water, for recycle water recycling, whereas it's not. They are channeling some water into the local dams and rivers bodies, which are affecting the life of marine agriculture living there. So those are the kind of information you can find. And those are the importances that it comes to you and brings to you as a business to ensure you are dealing with vendors that are compliant. So with multiple agents set up for you, you are able to achieve this process. And they are able to also remind you when one of it is outdated. For example, now, for those that are in IT space. So for example, they have their SOC 1, SOC 2 audit type SOC 2 type 2, no, yes, SOC 2 type 2 reports, audit report and the likes, their pen test report. Is able to review their pen test reports for you to let you know that oh, the pen test report that they submitted they have some reviews that we're supposed to cater for that they've not been able to mitigate. There are some risks that they found they've not been able to mitigate. Because looking at a pen test report about 50 pages for you to review as a human, and you still have to approve the supplier to be onboarded, it's really a crazy one. So those are the kind of opportunities that comes with using AI agents. Now, just to quickly brush on this is they are very, very, very scalable, which means that whatever you have now, you can improve on them later. You don't need to have it all at once to say, oh, I have to be my AI agent to do everything at once. No. You can build the compliance today, tomorrow bring the ESG part, next tomorrow bring in the payment part, the next tomorrow bring in the fraud part, the fraud check part, and all other ones for you to have a complete system. One area that we've seen this is in the customer experience space. So for some interactions that we've seen on some with some customer chatbots, some chatbots, you're able to see that the response is quite different from the bot because it's able to guide you appropriately. And for those that even doesn't have an answer for, it's able to find the relevant information for you. So there's a bit of intelligence into that kind of bot, into that kind of AI agent. And lastly, there's an improved decision making. And let me say, in terms of decision making, they are really doing very well in terms of decision making. But it has to come from you. What do you want? As I've said, it's a bit of a rule on how do you govern it. So there's a bit of governance that needs to happen for you to make a great decision. But it's quite different from where we are coming from, which is strictly rule based. If X is not equal to Y, then Z, it's quite different. If X is not equal to Y, it's able to suggest alternatives for you. What about A? What about B? What about C? Move on to the slide. Now, to the business itself. AWS AgentCore AI. I think about a couple of months ago, not a couple of months ago, yes, yes, a couple of months ago, AWS came about what we call the AWS Bedrock for AgentCore. And what gave birth to these was similar companies like Azure. They already have their Copilot Studio. Now, AWS being a tool known for its cloud, um, for its cloud, how do I put it? For their best in cloud, let me put it that way, or cloud services. They determined to bring in something extra to what we already have. For some of us are very used to Azure's, to Gemini's, and co. We see that the way AWS Bedrock and Agent Core is quite different entirely from what you've seen in Gemini, from what you've seen in Azure Space, Copilot Studios, and the likes. What AWS is trying to do really is, since they know that people already use their platform for multiple cloud services, so they are trying to bring in AI agents core itself into their AWS so that whatever services that you are doing, you can easily integrate it with your what? With your AWS services that you already have. And you can easily bring in agent AI to your app. So for example, if you have an app that you spin on their instances, you can easily bring in an agent core there as just a plug and play to your existing solution, and you're able to have AI agents in it. Just a matter of you deploying it, and then you have it in your testing environment, and you're able to see the logs with your CloudWatch and every other thing that we have. So this makes it easier for developers to actualize the use of AI agents in the AWS platform. Now, also one thing that is very, very easy, as I mentioned earlier, is they are able to simplify the entire agent lifecycle from the development to scaling and also to decommissioning. So it's easier for you to manage the entire lifecycle of your AI agents seamlessly. In terms of its core features and architecture, so the very good thing that we've seen or seen as an example is multi-agent coordination. Although this also exists, it's what we've seen in Copilot Studio, but it's not as gigantic as we've seen in AWS Bedrock. It's able to support multi-agents talking to one another, making tasks and achieving the tasks together. So your agent is able to look at, oh, you need a browsing agent, or you need the one that reviews the code, you need the ones that can. So it's able to work together unanimously without any interference. So these are additional advantage that comes in when you are using the core features of it. And another thing that they've really done well is, anything that has to do with AWS, they are very, very good with cloud monitoring. So immediately you even deploy your instance, then they set up a cloud watch for you. So immediately you are deploying your agent, you're able to see its performance, you're able to see its log, you're able to see its improvement and all. So you're able to even see insight already to see how it's performing. So there's a real-time monitoring that you have through its dashboard. Also, there's a secure data handling. This is very, very key. With the IAM feature that is already existing in AWS, it makes a robust what? A robust security of your data, data protection, and privacy online, which is very, very key for every business. Every business doesn't want their data to be exposed to another. So whatever data that you are using, so for example, now in your own instance, you've built maybe for a supplier onboarding system, it's only within your environment that you can use it, and that's your agent is being trained on it. Even if you want to bring your machine learning model, it gives you that additional core features to bring in your machine learning model into the AI agents easily. Other things that we've seen is, so it's a serverless compute support. That's cloud data storage, which is where it has the memory to store some key information if you need, and so a lot of capability. Now also it has these enhanced intelligence agent capabilities compared to what we've seen from other ones, from other competitors. Now, one thing that needs to quickly talk about is what is multi-agent workflow? How does a multi-agent workflow? If you see from this slide that we have, you are able to see that there are a lot of masters, I'll call it that way, and lot of what? And less of there are a lot of masters, which are those that you are seeing in red, because they are the one like giving back information. But you see the black, they are the multiple nodes, which is where you send in your prompt. So there's an agent that receives the prompt, analyze your prompt. So it's coming in natural language, or whether you put it in your Yoruba or your Igbo or Hausa language, it's able to interpret it, naturalize the language, and pass it on to the right agent. Then once you pass it on to the right agent, it analyzes, push it back to the masters. So this is the master, which is also a multi-agent, which is able to think about it. What do you need? Is able to route it to the right agent that will give you the answer that you want. Oh, and really found it, it passed back the response to the user. So there is a lot of coherent task execution happening within them and ensuring that they are all being governed based on the internal control or internal organizational control of the interactions happening within all those agents, happening within all those agents. Now, one thing that is also very key to mention is ability to dynamically and resolve conflict. So whenever there's a lot of people might be thinking, how could there be conflict in an AI agent? Look at it this way. You're looking at multi AI agents working together, coordination. There will always be conflict, but there are always a boss that says no. This should be the right choice. This is what I feel should be what should be the right choice. But all these things that you are seeing happens within a fraction of seconds within the system. Another thing that's a very good thing in terms of use case is about orchestration. I know a lot of businesses these days have a problem about process orchestration within themselves. Most of business that you've seen have, for example, let's look at use a logistics company, for example. In a logistic company that is into moving of goods from X to Z, there are a lot of processes involved. You need to have your clearance, you need to have your way bill, you need to have, and you need to have a tracker that monitors where each of these drivers or each of these goods are. So having an orchestrator that is able to manage what does truck A need at this moment, what does truck B need at this moment, what does truck C, what is the destination of truck C, how close or far it is to its destination. So it has this capability to also orchestrate, and those are one of the benefits of using all these multi-AI agents flow. Okay, real world agent use cases across key business functions. I think I've talked a little bit about each of these. We have the 247 customer assistance, whereby you don't need to even have a customer or a real human being behind your customer services. Everything can be done by AI agent. What you need to do is have a proper documentation of every activity that happens within. So you already have an FAQ already. So what are the next thing after this FAQ? So for example, a customer complaint about dispense error. What should be the next line of action? The woman will check in the database to see provided transaction ID or the session ID is able to look into the database and come back and say this is the session I can find the session ID. So you can have an AI agent that what it does is to, based on transaction ID or session ID provided by the customer, goes into your database, has a read access in your database, confirm the transaction if it exists in the database, and the amount of the transaction, the status of it, and all those details, and return it back to the master agent to say, yes, this transaction is confirmed. So if it is confirmed already, what is the time? They want to confirm the time with the amount left in the wallet. In that probably the ATM that you use as a dispenser is able to ascertain that the withdrawal was not didn't really occur. Then the agent is able to process a refund itself automatically, applying for a refund based on the customer bank number and the customer bank ID, and is able to apply for a refund with the amount automatically. Whereby this agent, once he applies for that, and that agent confirms based on the following information, which is like a compliance thing, whereby compliance team try to check to see is it true? Is it true that all these things occurred? Yes, it is true. Once all of them is true, it approves it itself and will pay the customer back and do a kind of a reconciliation of our balance sheet to ensure that it's not paying the customer wrong or people are cheating on the system. So these are the ways. So these are the ways that these are the ways that we see how AI agent can come into play. Also, we have escalation of complex issues, which is usually what happens when they've been escalated to humans. But there is a lot of use cases that we can bring about of this in terms of what I've even been able to personally work on. But before I proceed more, I would like to know, is there anyone that has questions, clarifications, ideas? For now, you can drop them in the question box for Mr. Prince to look at them and pass it on across to me. And if there's anything you would like to clarify, you can please bring it on right now on the chat and then we can quickly discuss it. And then I think the next slide should talk about majorly on maybe a quick demo about the AI agent at core itself. Okay. Okay. On business analytics and data driven, I think I added these slides based on my passion about data driven decisions because for businesses has large data sets. So having an AI agent to even clean that data, it's really very, very an huge task, especially when you are looking at um, unstructured data, whereby you have, so for example, I think a very good use case that comes to my mind is contract details. Contract details are very, very messy data. If anyone had experience about it, I would have loved you to put your experience on the chat because when you're working with contracts, contract for company A will be different from contract of company B, company C, company D, E, F. Even with humans, we have different contracts with different people. So now imagine a business. You have different contracts with your vendors, you have different with your people, your suppliers, you have different contracts with your customers. And you even have different categories. So you have customers that are paying you immediately. You have those that are debtors with different contracts. You have those that pay in advance. So those are different contracts that we have with them. Now imagine for a large organization or a large enterprise, imagine how messy data could be. There are some that will have to upload the document as a physical document. There are some that has to do a scan, use DocuSign to sign. It's really a very, very tremendous one. But having AI agents, it can stoop to and review the contract, no matter how strenuous it could be, because it has been trained to understand those kind of information. It has been trained to understand what are the key clauses you need to find out when you are reading a contract. So those are the kind of advantages that can bring in to your business. I think another thing is trend identification to predict future opportunity and risk effectively. Yeah, on this one, I feel it's not. It's I can't say it's really true or wrong. While I'm saying that, if you look at trends, about 10 years ago, yeah, we know AI is coming. Yes. But right now, everything is Gen AI. So you can't really predict what could be the trend in the next 10 years. Next 10 years could be quantum computing. Yes, we know that quantum computing is coming. But there could be other things that could come. So, but what I can advise you is based on industry leaders, based on industry leaders, the Elon Musk, the Mark Zuckerberg, what are those guys saying? Because they have this knowledge, not only the knowledge, they have this wealth to get the resources to know who can do a research on what are the next set of future future opportunities or future trends activities that could happen. So those are the things that I see that AI agents can do. So if there's questions, Mr. Prince, you can prompt me. I think we have less than 5 minutes. But let me just quickly round up the slide. Now, in terms of process and workflow automation, we know this is already what we call our business process automations, whereby any repetitive task that is being done, you're able to automate it, to able to reduce manual effort and speed up the workflows. Those are the things that this AI agent can easily do for you. It also helps you to minimize errors and also help you to optimize your resources, which is where most people are angry about. Well, let's say we are biased about, which is free human resources. Sorry, uh, which is freeing human resources, allow focus on high value and strategic activities. And this is why you are seeing massive layoff these days. AI agents are replacing jobs, and that's the honest truth. But how prepared are we for it? Because this is the future and it's already happening. We already thought this would be maybe in 2030s, thereabout. But right now, we could see that large organizations and corporations are forcing themselves to free up human resources to see what are the strategic human activities that still needs to remain that AI agent cannot take. But the additional advantage that we have is we should be at the forefront of creating these AI agents. We should be at the forefront of ensuring that these AI agents works so that we'll also be able to contribute to see to its improvement. It's still in its infant stage, I'll call it, because of the resources or compute resources that needs to fully train a Gen AI solution. However, with AWS Bedrock that we've seen and tested, we see that they are trying to minimize the cost so that to enable more users, more business to key into this. Because if you look at the value of or the cost of hiring to the cost of maintaining multiple AI agents, there's a very big difference. And that's why most organizations are key into it these days. Thank you. So I'll just quickly show us through um, within the next 3 minutes, Mr. Prince. Um, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Yes, sir. So let me just show us 2 minutes on AWS. Just drag it back here. Then we can see. Now, so basically, this is what we are trying to explain the whole time. So this is the runtime module. It has the gateway module. This is the memory modules where you see the memory resource. Although we don't have a lot of time to look at, this is where the identity comes in, where you can bring in your whole hot. So, for example, you have an application already that you built, you can just authenticate it through these, and it's quite very simple to authenticate and then be able to have your data protection. You see, via the IAM, we call it IAM, you are able to bring your authentication and have your data protection. But that is very key for every business. And also, there are some built-in tools that you can lay your hands with and play with currently that exist there, which is the AgentCore browser tool, whereby you're able to have a secure web browser. So you are just, instead of if you go to Copilot or ChatGPT and give it a prompt, it goes to the web and does it. So you can have your own setup yourself, create for yourself, see the runtime, and then it's able to. And we also have another one, which might be very good for the developers, which we call the code interpreters. So, when you're running code, we have compilers, we have code interpreters, and we have the code translators. So if you're looking at the compilers, that's when you're looking at your C, C sharp, C++, Java, and the like. So those you need a compiler, and I believe development is still ongoing on them because of their own complexity. That's why you cannot easily see an AI agent that does the compiling. But I know in a few years to come, you will see AI agent that does the compiling as well. But for those interpreted programming language, which we have like Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, those ones, they're easily able to set up a code. And we have AgentCore code interpreter here that can put your JavaScript code or Python script code and go to explain to you, give you understanding about tells you about each of every line of the code and help you to debug your code. So, and then we have the sandbox where you can have your agent code for you to run it. You are not deploying it, just for you to not do a test on your AWS sandbox. So I think we are overdue already. If there's any question, I believe this is the right time for us to completely take them. Thank you. So let me stop sharing over to you, Mr. Prince.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdulaziz. That was very insightful. That was quite educating and brings us into the reality of how these things work. So if there are any questions, please let's begin to drop them in the chat. If you have any questions for today, with us. So please let's begin to drop our questions in the chat so that we can take them one after the other. And also to remind us that this is just day one of this webinar series. This webinar is going to be for 5 days. This is just day one. Day one has been amazing. Day one has been wonderful. And day two is going to be wonderful as well. And at the same time, 5 p.m. GMT, wherever you're joining from all over the world, note this time. We're still going to be live tomorrow, same time, on this same channel. So let us go through if there's any question before we call it a day. Also, thank you very much, Mr. Abdulaziz. We value the time, the effort you've put into this, and it's something that so many of us have actually learned from and look forward to leveraging and taking best advantage of them. So we are very grateful. Thank you very much. So we'll just take one more minute if we can get any question. If not, we'll call it a day and prepare for tomorrow. So thank you very much. So tomorrow's topic is going to be a hands-on experience, hands-on with Amazon AgentCore, building intelligent applications faster. So that's what tomorrow's is going to be about. So let us make it a date. Let us mark the time. Tomorrow is going to be another wonderful experience. So let us all ensure that we join on time as well. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdulaziz. That's been a pleasure, and getting into the AgentCore is something that has come to be, and we're going to get more knowledge on it and take the best advantage on it. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Abdulaziz. We're really grateful for this opportunity.
I will share the slide with you.
All right.
There's one that is interesting. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Joel, thank you very much for your kind comments. Thank you very much. It's a great session on AWS Bedrock AgentCore. and intelligent agents for data-driven decisions. Well done to the organizers. Kudos to Mr. Abdulaziz. Take your flowers. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. So see you guys again tomorrow, same time. And thank you and have a wonderful day. Thank you, Mr. Abdulaziz.
Thank you.